Luke Kierden, how the hell are you?
Back again. I'm all
Back
right.
again.
Round 2.
We did it. We
Ding,
survived
ding.
the first round.
We did, yeah. It was all right. It was fun.
It was pretty fun. I was pleasantly surprised at the response that we got. And I think we already have a few hundred views within 24 hours, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, yes.
Kind of get back at it
Woo.
again.
We're on our way.
We're on our very slow way. But, yeah, and we've got I was talking to a guy who is wanting to do an intro for us and put us up with a sound bite and background music or whatnot, too. He's got a cool radio voice, which I'm stoked about. So we should be able to get something like that coming in. If not this episode, then probably the next one.
The next one.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of next episodes, is there anything we should preview, anything you want to know, whether let them know that is coming their way, what type of format may be coming? It's not always going to be the same type of thing every week.
Right. So this next episode that we're recording, and don't hold me to a week because I don't know if I like that time too.
It's fine. It's fine. But you don't have to include many details, just kind of like format. Like, here's what we're shooting for right now.
I have a really remarkable guy coming on soon for this next episode 3, that is going to talk a bit about his time in recovery and his pitfalls and challenges and successes in dealing with addiction. And I think that that's something that has been, I've been trying to get him on for a bit, but it's something that affects everyone. And whether it affects you personally or someone you know, it's hard, especially in this day and age. And it's crazy. The World Health Organization published a statistic in 2016 or 17, I believe, that it was saying close to 3 million people died in 2016 alone from like alcohol-related, whether that is drunk driving, alcohol, overdoses, alcohol poisoning, alcohol withdrawals. It's fucked, man. It's crazy, and I'm really excited to have him on and speak about what's been going on with that sort of stuff.
I'm also glad that you're actually like seriously. I know like in the past videos, people may not have taken it seriously with like, oh, here's what we're gonna do, here's what I want to talk about. But I'm glad that you're really following through with, I want to talk about this type of subject, and I'm not gonna let anyone deter me from getting my message out. And it's a good thing, man. Like, you're sticking to your guns. You got a lot of people in your ear, right? I mean, it just speaks volumes. So I'm proud of you for that.
Well, thanks.
At the same time, I can't wait to even see it. But yeah, hopefully we get the message out in a positive way that
and
a lot of people don't take take it with what you will, but I don't want to ruffle a lot of feathers, But
well, I don't
we got
really care
message.
about ruffling feathers, but not to
rebel.
Peel back the playbook too much. But since you're talking me to give a bit of a preview, we also have a. I'll save this. Never mind. It's the next episode, or maybe episode after that, depending on when they come out. But there's another really powerful guest coming on too. So, again, I don't want it to always be fun and games, but I also don't always want it to be like doom and gloom too. But we talk about real shit. We talk about real stuff that happens to real people and stuff that maybe the mainstream media doesn't really talk about. I mean, like when you picture. If you look through like the news and that kind of stuff, you get somewhat of the picture, but it's usually in the form of statistics. You don't actually sit down with someone and talk about, those things, what they're going through, what's it like getting sober, what's it like, leading a life in recovery and all that sort of stuff. And, when you look at Hollywood movies, you see, these very glamorized, almost like in a weird way, like especially when it comes to alcohol, like party, playboy, lifestyle kind of stuff or whatever that it's associated with that sort of stuff with alcoholism. And the reality and what actually happens to hundreds of thousands of people, it's not anywhere near that. Right. It's really hard and it's really intense.
100%, because, we all know somebody or somebody close to somebody that we know that just can't get through it alone, So I'm glad that you brought up Hollywood, because this week a big Hollywood event is coming up.
I want to know.
I want to know what your thoughts are. Avengers Endgame coming out.
Oh, that's coming out.
Yeah, that thing that people were kind of murmuring about. I don't know if you heard it.
I am excited, I guess, for it. I think that it's hard to browse because there was a leak of the I don't know if these were the right spoilers or not, but
Spoilers.
there's going to be no
Spoilers.
spoilers. There's no spoilers. I'm not going to do that. But there was a leak or something of someone talking about some plot points, and it's kind of hard to browse the internet freely without kind of running into that kind of shit. So it's a little obnoxious.
Why do people think it's cool to do that? Like they feel like some type of validation. Like I saw the movie
it's just
first,
trolls, dude. It's just trolls being trolls.
and now, but they put the real stuff on there.
I know.
So it's like
let me ruin
I was told that
this
the whole
excitement.
ending was on there already.
I think so.
It's
I think that's right.
Like why? Sick, dude. You saw the movie.
It's the internet. I don't know, man. Well, that's the thing, because I think it was one person, like one really affluent person that saw the movie and posted about it on Snapchat or scenes about it on Snapchat, and people who are actually going around spoiling people haven't seen the movie themselves. They've just seen the spoilers, and they just like, let me just spread as much misery and chaos as I can.
And it's different if you accidentally do it, because to your point, Mark Ruffalo, the guy who plays Incredible Hulk in the series, he did that for Thor Ragnarok when it came out, but he was at the world premiere, and he had like Facebook Live on, like for part of the opening part of the movie, and everyone saw that opening part, and Marvel came at him pretty hard. He got a big slap on the wrist for it, but I mean that was accident, and I don't know if it was accident. That's Facebook Live, but he's also in the movie, and there's different type of plays that they run to make it seem like red herring or whatever the hell.
I guess like that's something interesting, and whether. I mean, our spoiler culture is here to stay, I think, because of the way digital media works, which is like, I kind of miss those days where like I genuinely have no idea how a game or a movie or a story ends. And
if you did want to know, you had to buy those like code books or whatever, like the cheats and stuff.
Yeah.
You really have to commit.
Yeah, but like, it's, I don't know how someone in this day and age would be able to have like a big awaited event, like whether it's a big game or a movie or something like that, come out without it getting leaked, because you have people breaking embargo dates, you have people getting like weird like translated screenings of it, like because they have to dub it in all these different languages, and then you have someone who's like, well, I live in China. I don't really give a shit about your copyright rules, so I'm just gonna leak the whole thing.
I mean, if I was in China and I saw that, I don't know how honorable I'd be either. There's
might
no
be
honor
a different
amongst thieves.
Well, okay, yeah.
But as far as the movie goes, do you think it will be? Obviously, we know that's the culmination of 22 years of film. But do you think it will be better than all the other type of events that have come out before us? Like our parents were like, oh, you should have been there when Star Wars came out, or you should have, like, even after that, some of our cousins, maybe your age, but like you should have seen Lord of the Rings when they were coming out and stuff like that. Do you think this is going to be the biggest event for this type of thing, even though they do have the advantage of having 22 movies and not like a trilogy, but at the same time the hype is there the same, and it's just a different type of film, and Star Wars, all that type of stuff. Like, how do you feel?
I think that for sure this is our like generation Star Wars, I think.
With Star Wars still coming out.
With Star Wars still coming out. Well, that's not even a big event anymore. Well, whatever. They come out with one of those every fucking year. So it's like, it's not what it once was. But I think, there's never been anything like this before, where you have all these movies in the cinematic universe, and everyone has tried to ape that. Like DC, I think there was a Mummy cinematic universe at one point.
Mummy?
I'm dead serious. Like,
is that the one with Brandon Fraser?
No, it was the reboot.
God.
It was it was really weird, because it's like you can tell when they put those little stings in there. It's like, oh, is that true? Because it was about Mummy, and like Tom Cruise was in it or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And there's like this little off-throw line or throwaway line where it's like, oh, is that true, Mr. Hyde? Or like, no, it's like Dr. Jekyll. I'm sorry, I fucked it up. But he's like, is that true, Dr. Jekyll? And then I heard some fat dude in the back of my movie theater go, oh, like, he's really so excited. It's like, that's Dr. Jekyll. But
mic drop.
Well, those are just so cringy to me now. Where it's like, either, because you either set it up in a not like it has to evolve organically. You can't have a Batman versus Superman moment where he stumbles upon, I forget Lex Luthor's computer, and he goes through all the teaser trailers of the next superheroes, like the Wonder Woman teaser trailer, the Cyborg teaser trailer,
all that
the
stuff,
Aquaman. I'm like, I bet those characters will never come up again. I bet you there's no way at all that the Aquaman movie will ever come out at this point. But then it definitely came out.
And it killed.
It killed.
And
it did really well. Yeah.
That does remind me, though, the way you said, I can't think of it now. It literally just escaped into my brain now. Damn. Right before you said Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
Something about, aping and biting it. They're now making a King of Monsters, dark monster universe now too, like Godzilla and all those monsters, and like they're trying to link them together.
It's funny because
I don't know how that's gonna go.
Because that Mummy cinematic universe, I'm pretty sure was like called the Dark Universe. Like that was like they were trying to brand it as like not the MCU. Yeah, but it was just like the Dark Universe.
Because I know I saw Kong Skull Island, and they had the end of that. It was like Godzilla fighting like Kong, and so now the new Godzilla movie's coming out with like the same people. I'll bet you that they're gonna try to tease again with a third person and probably have some Batman v Superman. Just all right, everyone.
Batman
just
shows up with King Kong.
I bet.
Is your name Martha? Did your mom's name Martha?
If it's not, better pray right now.
God, where were we talking about? The MCU.
So
I am excited just to see how it all wraps up because I thought for sure that with all the moving pieces going on in Infinity War, not that the Russo brothers ever steered me wrong before because those Captain America movies were amazing, but I thought for sure with all the moving pieces of Infinity War, if you had talked to me at the start of last year, I would have been like, dude, I mean, it'll be serviceable at best. There's no way they can wrap up with. Did you see like the poster with all the fucking celebrity names on it? Like it goes on for like 2 or 3 lines. I'm like, Jesus
get
Christ.
the right amount of time on the screen too.
That was the most incredible part about that movie, and it was insane. Like
this one, they got even more people. But they have a longer runtime. It's 3 hours.
Yeah, that is true.
So
I wonder
like,
how
you
that's
know what?
Go.
They don't mind. It's gonna be 3 hours. We'll give them an extra 30 minutes.
They could get away with anything. I mean, at this point, they could be like, "Hey, here's the designated, break time in the movie theater. You go out and do your business." Intermission. Yeah, come back. But Infinity War is probably my top 3 favorite Marvel films, and I really, really enjoyed it. It shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't.
Like on paper, it didn't make any sense. But
what are the other two? The other two, you said it's top 3. So that, I mean, is it 3 or is it 1 or 2?
No, I liked Winter Soldier a whole lot. I thought Winter Soldier was really good. I'm trying to think. And then I'd probably say it's a tie between Civil War and Black Panther as... What, you disagree?
I think both Winter Soldier and Black Panther are a little overrated.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, when I was watching it, I was kind of like,
I love all that tech, though. Like, that was the cool thing for me with Black Panther. It was all this, like, futuristic
just
kind of
everything
tech.
Is solved with metal. Just medical
crisis. All right. Well, if you want to poke holes in it, all right. We're talking about superheroes, for God's sake.
I'm just saying. I mean, Jesus. Like, come on. Like, now you got just surgeries being done with them. Like, I don't know. It's a little far-fetched for me.
Okay. Well,
not as far-fetched as an outer space alien coming to
yeah, I'm about to say, like, look at the company it's
gems to destroy people.
I like Doctor Strange better.
Oh, I hated that movie. I hated Doctor Strange.
They just solve everything with magic? Is that right? Oh, whatever. Okay. Yeah.
I fucking hate it. Because, okay, you'll understand when I say my top 3. My top 3 would probably be 3 being... most likely Thor Ragnarok. 2 being
that was a really good one.
2 being Avengers Infinity War. And then 1 being the OG Iron Man. The first Iron Man had everything for me. And yes, it was first. I was 7th grade when it came out. And I saw it in the theater with my mom and a friend. it was something that you hadn't, because they made someone who wasn't in the limelight, like Iron Man wasn't an A-list hero, and they made him something that was, now it's outer worldly. Now everyone knows who he is. He's almost up there with Spider-Man now. Not there yet. Everyone still knows a lot more about Spider-Man. Everyone knows Spider-Man. It's more recognizable.
I don't know, man. At this point, I don't know.
But the way they did that was, Iron Man 2 sucked. But the first one, yes, it blew my socks off.
Yeah. I think for the impact, I mean, yeah, Iron Man, the first one was really good. And I of course, it started this whole thing. So, like, you have to put it up there in a place of reverence for that. But looking at all the movies now, it just doesn't hold up, which isn't fair to the movie because, you know, it's like 2007 at this point or whatever. So there's no way it's going to hold up to Infinity War, for God's sake.
Yeah. But they do use a lot more practical effects that,
I do like
because they're metal, they'll always hold up.
Yeah.
Like, in the first movie, he actually had to wear the chest armor and stuff. Like, he didn't have that mocap.
Was it the
nanotech and all that stuff. So he actually, so it's gonna hold up. It's not like, you know, those Star Wars dolls things that, like, they look like they're not moving, right?
Yeah.
But they are gonna hold up, and I think it's not gonna hold a candle to the writing that was Infinity War. But
I don't know. I mean, when I kind of meant it wasn't really fair that it holds up against Infinity War. I kind of meant in terms of like the special effects and that kind of stuff. But I liked Iron Man as a self-contained story. I thought it was really good. You know what? I forgot about Thor Ragnarok. I straight out, like, those movies.
Even though I just mentioned it, like, you know.
Well, no, but I'm
10
saying
minutes
like,
ago. Before I mentioned it again, you know,
whatever.
When Mark Ruffalo leaked it on Facebook Live. But we're paying attention.
We are
cool.
paying attention.
We love
We're
each
doing
other.
our best. Yeah.
We're fun guys.
We like that fun.
We're fun.
I honest to God, like, those movies have been, aside from Thor Ragnarok, I don't know how Thor got two standalone. I don't know how he got to Ragnarok because those first two movies, I didn't even watch them.
You didn't?
No. Or they were awful, man.
That's where we disagree again. I hated two, but one I thought was great.
I'll have to watch one.
I do kind of miss how he acts. Now it's just kind of like he's Chris Hemsworth now.
Pretty much.
Before it was like, I'm Thor and, you know, another and all that Well, you didn't see it, but like...
yeah, like, I don't know why. He was like, oh, yeah. I remember that movie.
But
the scene I didn't
that
see.
type of stuff, he started acting like, you know, like a Norse god, you know?
Yeah.
As we assumed he would act. And then all of a sudden, as it progressed, I understand, you know, acting, you know, it can get dull playing the same character. And he needed something different. He said it multiple times. Like a refresh, but at the same time, it's like, is he now? Is he like just an American... Because it's not even Chris Hemsworth. He's not even playing like Australian Chris Hemsworth. He still has like an American accent. And he's just playing a dude like with powers now. It's like, with a shaved head. Obviously, we saw what happened, but it hasn't grown back yet. It just keeps it shaved. He's got a barber on deck now.
Well, I saw one of the spoilers, but I'm not going to talk about
it. Oh, my God. Spoilers!
I actually really like Thor now, but not in his own movies. I like how he is... Like, okay, so I liked him in Ragnarok. So that was the thing. I don't count those first two movies really at all. But I like...
Never have it.
You take this Norse god or whatever, and you just break... He gets the shit kicked out of him repeatedly.
Right.
He loses everyone. And then he loses everyone again. And then...
Loses everyone again.
Well, then he tries to... He goes through this redemption arc, finally gets the upper hand to defeat Thanos. Then he fucks it up, and he loses everyone again. And it's like... you know, there's something to that.
He almost lost his life again in the movie.
Yeah.
With the whole, you know, take a star to the giant chest thing. That's the thing I don't get.
He's just a glutton for punishment.
You just mentioned all the stuff that makes Thor awesome and why we respect him as a character and why he gets so hyped when he came in, like, Wakanda and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why, exactly the opposite reason why people hate Captain Marvel. Not because of all the other stuff and Brie Larson and all that, but it's because there was literally no time to have that type of arc for her. She just... She's supposed to be, oh, boom, you're the best. And then another thing that pissed a lot of people off is that she didn't really do anything. I don't know about the Endgame movie, but up to this point, she didn't do anything that made me be like, oh, yeah, she's stronger than Thor. She's stronger than Scarlet Witch. She didn't really do anything in her movie. It was like, oh, I mean, did she take a dying star to her body and then come back to life? Like,
well, he's had
she just blew up a whole bunch of spaceships.
4 movies to do that, I guess. But
at the same time, if you're hyping her up for this last hurrah...
It's one of the things that, like, I just tuned out of Star Wars because it's a similar thing. And I haven't seen Captain Marvel, so I can't really speak to that, which is going to be really confusing. this weekend when I watch Endgame because I'm not going to.
I mean, I don't think you need to see it. I don't think. My brother hadn't seen it, and he's in Australia, so he's ahead on our time, and he says, whatever. Okay. I'm not going to tell you what he said because you want to have your own opinions, but he said you don't need to see it.
Okay. Because I was going to say there's no way I'm going to be able to watch it before this weekend.
That's exactly what he said.
So I that's the issue that I had with the Star Wars stuff is that the main character doesn't really – it's like we're told a lot of the struggles and stuff that they go through or whatnot, but none of the stuff that they – the power that they get, doesn't really feel earned to me. Mm-hmm. And it's just like I kind of tune out at some point. And like not like the prequels are some kind of bastion of film, perfection or whatever.
Right.
But – I mean, none of those really spoke to me. So it's just like, I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, I don't even know, like, if I'll watch the, I'm assuming I probably will at some point. At some point, but I'm not going to, like, run out opening night, swing my plastic lightsaber around, wink at a Twi'lek girl or whatever they fucking
Have you ever done that before?
Try it sometime, dude. What are you talking about? I went to the Batman vs. Superman premiere of the plastic lightsaber. Martha!
Even though, you hadn't seen the movie yet, you're screaming, Martha! He's
new Jedi precognition stuff.
He had a feeling. But I want to get to that. It's a good segue. Not that, but talking about the movies is a good segue, too. Talk about...
I mean, that was a good segue, except not at all. But,
Except, anyway, we're going to work on it. It's fine. It's like second episode. We're good. We're good. Uh-huh. You mentioned the Russo brothers and how pretty much you had their trust, right? Mm-hmm. Or they have your trust, and they can't really do any wrong in your eyes, right?
Not yet.
Kind of.
They could.
At this point, you have no reason to doubt their abilities. Mm-hmm. Partly because of their writing, right? And so, as a writer yourself, how would you get ready for a moment or a big moment or take characters left and right, make them into an ensemble, or just like how do you start your process in the beginning to make something that big or just branch off? Like how would you, because you've done what you've done. So I think I want to know, I want to know, and I know some people out there want to know your process of how you begin to write.
I think it's different for me on a per story basis. And at some point I'll probably talk more in length about this kind of my own personal background with some of this stuff. But for me, after writing Ben Drowned, I had the hardest time writing something else to follow it up because I had this audience now that I didn't have before. I had people kind of looking at my work on a bigger scale than I've ever had. And I kept on thinking it had to be perfect in my head before I could start writing it on paper. And it had to be perfect on paper before I could start seriously publishing it.
Right. So
that to me is what I've learned over the past few years is the wrong way to go about it. And for me, I'm only speaking for me. So I'll talk more about how I wrote, Ben Drowned, because that was something that has been my most successful piece. And that was something that literally I went into it not worrying about if people would like it. I went into it not really caring if, it was what I thought perfect. And I went into it kind of thinking of I want to write something that I think would be interesting for me to stumble across and read. So I wrote it really for no one else but myself, because at the time there was no one else but myself. Right. There was no fan base, there was no audience, there was no anything. And I think that there is something really cool and organic about that I have been lacking for the past few times in trying to create follow-up pieces to that. Because I think I cared too much about, what the public perception would be of it, how other people who weren't myself would think about it. And when you look at it, I mean, those other people, they're not writing this stuff. So it's not being honest to who I am as a creator or as an artist or a writer if I'm writing something that is not true to me in its own sort of way.
Is that some type of form of inspiration, you'd say? Or, like, is that something completely separate? Inspiration.
Well, I think, inspiration you can get from different things, and that serves different purposes. And I think at some point, inspiration only goes so far. And I think a lot of that comes down to discipline and motivation and staying focused on seeing it all through. Because for me, I would come up with these really good ideas that were profound or that I really enjoyed, and I would come up with the like the climax or the big plot twists, and like form a story around that and kind of start from that and work backwards. And
like where you want the story to like come to an end, or
so like
climax, or
when I create, I think of these emotional responses that I want to invoke out of my work. And for Ben Drowned, it was like I want to create something that evokes this sort of emotional response from people who read it, and that was more along the lines of something that is thrilling, mysterious, creepy, that give you that feeling of like the fourth wall breaking, and like oh crap, like he's talking to me, or like that sort of thing, like the character is transcending the media that which bore him. So I focused around a general concept, an emotional response to reading this, and I then started to like kind of like almost like diagram it out and be like, okay, well, in order to create this response, I need to incorporate this, or I need to tell it like this, or the story needs to lead up to a point like this. So in order, like at the end of the whole Ben Drowned story, spoilers, yeah, for a 9-year-old, no, almost 9-year-old story, you see this file that has been released called The Truth. It's a text file, and what it is it's a almost like journal of the main character you've been following this whole time. And that to me was this big crescendo point where I wanted to create this feeling of like an unreliable narrator, but you're not aware of it until you start to read this final file. So it's like this big almost betrayal, and it creates this deep-seated feeling. Ideally, it would create this deep-seated feeling of mistrust, of like this bottom pit in your stomach being like, oh my God, the stuff they're talking about in this diary or in this journal is not adding up at all with what the posts have been saying. So I must be inferring on my own that I've been not talking to the real person this entire time. So like I've not been talking to Matt this entire time, who's the main character that goes through the story of Ben Drowned. He, stuff is kind of one-to-one in the beginning, but then you kind of start seeing like, oh shit, like what actually did happen to this guy, or his diary stuff there, it clearly is different. So like what kind of questions does that raise? And these are questions that you're not prompted necessarily to ask them. There's no point in the story that says, well, what if Ben is secretly influencing this?
It's like inferring almost.
Right. So there's like, you're meant to, I structured it in a way so that, you're meant to basically come up with that on your own,
And these self-questions, would you say like they determine like you wanted a certain genre to start with. You knew like, because you said you started backwards. So does that determine, because I know a lot of people nowadays have like psychological thriller and like mystery or something like that. Like they have like multiple genres. Do those questions determine the end result of your like what genre you're gonna have at the end, or does like like I'm gonna have a psychological thriller no matter through and through, no matter what, it's gonna be a psychological thriller, or is it like I want to answer this question. The only way I can answer this question is if I add this bit, and this bit can't be related to this genre because it just can't. It just doesn't fit. So now I have to blend the genres. Does that ever happen, or is it just like I'm gonna do this the way I mapped it out?
Yeah, I mean, there were parts. where I kind of transcended a little bit of genres. I mean, I never like getting labeled or boxed in a corner or anything like that. So
I mean,
as long as
just like you're not a hero, it's just I don't want to be called a hero either. It's just
so it's not like I intentionally did it, but there was an overarching tone that made me like kind of stay true to what I wanted to initially create. So that tone and that feeling, that at that point that I kind of then took that and then drew everything else out of, it all would come back to that point, that emotional response, that feeling of like, this is very creepy, this is unsettling, and then almost like, am I in danger sort of thing, because I am downloading this file, I'm letting apparently Ben into my computer or whatever. Apparently, allegedly, you know, nothing. I can't talk about that word. There's a lawsuit pending. But so that to me, like, instead of saying, "Hey, I want to write a psychological thriller," or "Hey, I want to write a comedy," or whatever, it'd probably be different for comedy. But like, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a comedy writer, but I instead of saying like that, I would focus on that emotional response, that starting point, and then draw everything else out from there. So everything kind of comes back and plays into that point. Like, what emotions, I guess if you're writing a story, like, what emotions do you want to evoke?
Right.
What do you want your reader to feel? And that, to me, has kind of been my guiding sort of compass in that.
That's pretty good advice too, because I mean that helps me as well, because as I've told you, I've been writing a book for about a year now, and I told you kind of the same way that you started your explanation, is that I've gotten about 100, 120 pages in of this is exactly what I wanted to be, but it took me a year to get to that point. And I don't really like that process, even though I'm happy with the result right now, and I know how long I want my original tale to be. I can't really say because I don't want it to get, you know, stolen, the idea and stuff.
Yeah,
I haven't published it yet.
Right.
And it's not going to be like a video thing. It's going to be straight up book, right? And it's going to be in the fantasy realm type thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I originally wanted it to be a video game.
Yeah.
But I figured the better route would be writing it first, and then they'll understand it, and then you can make it into a video game.
Right. So once it becomes a massive success.
Right. Yeah. Once I'm
huge
and not a hero to all, it'll just, you know, it'll be good.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing too, because the way I started it was I want this central plot and idea, kind of similar to like Star Wars and the Force is a thing. And so like a lot of things revolve around the Force. That type of thing starts where like my book starts like that type of stuff. There's some type of mythos going around. It's not just a normal, your average thing. But it's also type of like, I know you can't wait for the cyberpunk game that they're coming out. It's also kind of like a blend of this old fantasy and cyberpunk, to where it's like their worlds like collide together type thing. And the genre, a lot of the times when it's fantasy, like old fantasy with like swords and shields and all that stuff, it's hard to blend those tones with the like fast-paced, high-speed, maybe happy-go-lucky vibe of the cyberpunk world. And then having a cohesive tale about a singular character or lineage, and making that, you know, also resonate with people. And I think the reason why, I mean, that's pretty difficult to do. I mean, but that's like a lot of the reason why it's taken a long time. But I think with your help with that, just me as a writer, and I appreciate that, I need to reevaluate how I'm making someone follow my journey, how they feel while they're following it. Because there's this guy, I focus on my central character so much, I forget that people care about other characters a lot. Because a lot of these shows and stuff, the side character is more loved than like the main character. Like everyone loves Sam more than Frodo, and people like, you know, Vader more than Luke. Even though George Lucas has come out and said that Star Wars is a tale of, you know, the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker, but people don't associate Vader as the main character. They associate Luke with the main character. So I kind of want to avoid that as well. Sasuke, Naruto, all that type of thing. And I think giving more life to the other characters around, because even when Ben drowned, how many people talk about the titular character? They all talk about the the crazy guy at the shop, the happy mask guy, or something like that. They talk about the weird thing that goes on around the character. They don't really ever come to you. Do they ever come to you about the actual controlled character?
Well, not really, because again, like taking that core concept and like drawing out upon that, again, that main sort of thing was like you feel it's a very personal journey, and you feel that you're being lied to, you feel like you're being betrayed, you feel like you're listening to an unreliable narrator. So really, the main character is kind of inconsequential. He could be anyone essentially. So he's this almost like stand-in to help drive the story forward to basically get Ben to infect you at the end.
It's
so
kind of like create a character almost, like
kind of
avatars, just kind of filling the void for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you see it as an observer, but you're very much meant to be a character in that story because, well, Ben talks to you. I mean, like that's kind of the thing. So it's like, Matt wasn't really elaborated on too much as a character. You know enough about him and like what he goes through, but you don't really know, like, what's his favorite color. What kind of TV shows do you like? I mean, like that.
Where was his first kiss?
Yeah. But again, like to that point that you were talking about with creating your story or book, is that, at least for me, when I think about some of the most powerful moments that I've had reading literature or watching movies, I don't remember the specifics of it. I just remember the emotions I was feeling when I read it or watched it. Like, for example, I was just thinking about this because this is going to be kind of dorky, but when I was a kid, I played this Xbox game, Star Wars Xbox game. Really good. Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh my God. It's good. I'll give this credit, but I'm it's a little slow for me. But
you're out of your mind.
Like Jedi
so
Academy.
anyway,
Jedi Academy's better.
Ignoring you. Jedi Academy's really good.
Yeah.
I played that game. Shit. I could go. That's another episode.
That's another episode.
Yeah,
right.
that was like my game for like 4 years. So when you are in, I can't remember the specifics of it, but again, the most powerful plot twist I thought, and granted it's probably because I was a kid, but is during that, which is spoilers for this game that is like 2 decades old at this
Headphones
point,
off.
or something like that. It's super old.
Yeah, it's I mean, you're old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I would know.
I think everyone would know when you say it's old. They're like, "Oh, damn,
God, you're such a baby.
That's a throwback."
Such a baby.
Michael Jackson just started out.
So there's this game called Pong that we did. And when they, so
Famicom or whatever that was. Oh, what was it called? It's something with a C.
Whatever.
Let us know what it was.
Commodore 64. So there's this part in the story in Knights of the Old Republic where you find out that you are actually the main villain of the whole game. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what planet you were on. I don't remember, what the dialogue lines were, but I do remember the fact that like there were all these like moments leading up that played up to that, like these flashbacks of stuff you've encountered in the game that is like, this scene here, this scene here. They were like spread out over the course of a dozen or 2 hours over at the time. But if you put them all back to back, you were leading the player to realizing it before you had this big like titular camera turn where it's like, oh my God, he's wearing the mask too. And like that blew my effing mind when I was a kid. Like I remember that feeling so distinctly that I don't think any plot twist could really come.
Did you have to pause the game? You're like, God, I gotta go downstairs, get a drink.
Gotta get that Mountain Dew.
I don't know how to cook.
Mom, a Mountain Dew.
Pizza rolls.
Get it.
Make love. But I think you because you like twists and turns. I think you'd have a really good time with 2 games. Shout out Spearhead Games. I enjoyed Stories: The Paths of Destiny. Have you ever heard? All right. Well, look it up. It's about
what is it?
Stories: The Paths to Destiny.
Okay.
Paths of Destiny. Paths to Destiny. I think it's Paths of Destiny. It's about this character that has. It's like a book, and it's got so many outcomes. You try to find the right one to win the game. And because of all these twists and turns, these things happen that you cause, right? And there's different paths in each level that cause this certain outcome. There's so many branches. Like it got a lot of awards. It's on PS4. I mean, PC too. I don't know if Xbox got it, but it's a really good game, right? And it incorporates those things that you were talking about with twists and turns, and as well as their sequel that is out on all platforms called Omen Sight, which I'm just now finishing, even though it's a year later. Sorry, it came out on Switch this year, so I'm playing it. It also has that type of like element to where like you think you're going to the right path, and then you find out, okay, well, that's not it. So everything you thought going up to this path is now almost reneged.
But, like, here's the thing, though. If you advertise a story to me, it's like, oh, man, this has a really good twist and turn, there's no way it's ever going to, like,
You're gonna
impress
live up
me.
to the hype.
Yeah, it's just like, if you have to advertise it like that, it's almost, like, disingenuous to, like, the story, actually. Because I'm going to be like, oh, I can't wait. Is that the twist? Is that the twist? Is that the twist?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. You never know. You never know. It's a
my
little
God.
can of worms.
I don't know.
That's right. You don't have to play it. I think
I'll check
all
it
the
out.
people out there know that those two are excellent
We'll see.
games and excellently written.
I'll check them out. I have a PC. I could do that. But
Yeah, you have a PC,
Mhm.
not a Mac. I'm pretty sure you have a Mac.
I have a Mac,
Ew.
but I have a PC that is like
Ew, you got a Mac.
10 years old at this point. So no, it's probably like 7 or 8. So I mean, I'm hesitant to say it's a PC, but it is a PC. It's not going to run Crysis
Remember
3
those
or anything like
commercials?
that. But
Hi, I'm a Mac. I'm a PC. Remember those commercials?
yeah, wasn't that guy like arrested or something?
What?
Is that
What?
serious? Yeah,
That was the guy from like Accepted,
I think.
like the Justin Long. Yeah,
Huh.
where'd he go?
He got arrested. I don't know.
I mean, you don't just he's a celebrity. I'm pretty sure he didn't just go arrested. Nope,
Slap
never
him wrist.
again. You're
Um,
done.
God.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't know why you said that. Sorry, Justin. I know you're listening in. I know you're a big fan of the podcast, so sorry, man. There
This
is
guy.
something that I did want to bring up too. This happened, I think, yesterday, and I'm also really hesitant about even going forward saying like specific dates because there's no guarantee that the day that we're recording this is the day it's going to go up.
Okay.
At least at this point.
Right.
So,
of course.
what is today, the 25th? It happened on the 24th of April. Joe Biden announced his run for presidency,
Sleepy Joe.
thus cementing the fact that Donald Trump is going to win again. I
No.
guarantee it, man.
No, he's not.
I guarantee it.
Dude, that Pete guy from South Bend,
I don't think he's going
I'm
to. I
telling
would
you.
love to talk to him. I would
Marine.
love, honestly, to.
Democrat, gay guy, young white male.
See, that's the part.
I'm telling you,
See,
he's
I
gonna.
don't know if the Democrat and the
sock him
gay
in the
part
mouth.
make up for the fact in today's political climate that he's a white male. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it offsets the fact.
I think it does. I think people want to see. He's the youngest candidate to run for president. That's including. I mean, youngest obviously, including everybody, but JFK was before him. He was the youngest, and everyone loved him because, well, of his message, but also he was super young. He's a nice
I'll
fresh
have to
face
look
against
into
the
him.
old Nixon,
Yeah.
old lying Nixon, who got in trouble
Old lying
and
Nixon.
impeached.
Yeah. Here's what I think is going to happen. I'm going to make a
It's
bold prediction.
almost history repeating itself, dude. It's gonna happen. But go ahead. The White Knight, and then the guy everyone kind of regrets.
We'll see.
But go ahead.
I'd be love to prove wrong. This might just be me just being either a pessimist or maybe researching this stuff a lot.
Probably
but,
being a pessimist. But,
okay, man. We'll see what happens. But here's my hot take on this whole thing.
okay.
I think that Joe Biden is going to win the primary. And if he wins the primary, 100% Donald Trump is going to win. He does not compete. He is the best. If he is the best that the Democrats can do, he stands no chance. The Democrats stand no chance. I really don't think, unless we get into a war, like unless there's a flash war or something like that, or if the economy stops doing well,
it's
I think that Donald Trump has us on lock unless, and I'm going to do this crazy bold prediction here.
okay.
It's not even prediction because there's no way in hell it's ever going to happen.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. Unless they want to lean into the pageantry of the whole thing, because they feel like that's what resonates with the kids, right? So what better than when all hope seems lost, all of a sudden a new contender arises from the Democratic Party that makes all the other Democratic candidates respectfully bow out and endorse her.
Dante's ready to slay.
Dante shows up.
Da-
Devil May Cry 6.
Devil May Cry 6
This
just
time
drops.
it's for keeps.
Sakurai just announces Dante.
Michelle Obama.
That is an atom bomb.
I don't.
That's a long shot.
That would be the
because
only
she knows
way.
exactly what the hell Barack had to go through. / she's been there. So what may get her elected may keep her from trying to get elected. Is the experience, everyone loves her and type of things that she can handle. But at the same time, it didn't really work for Hillary because whether you like to admit it, or not, you can't deny most people liked Bill.
Yeah,
he resonated well with people, and he didn't do a poor job. Right, he did a normal job. Like he didn't do good, he didn't do bad. He's just there. He's kind of like a filler almost. But
he got elected twice too. What are you talking about?
But he got elected twice. That should tell you more.
Right.
Hillary, trying to do the Michelle Obama thing that you're saying, no one likes her, and a lot of people were even voting for her just because they may get some input from Bill behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
And even that didn't help her get elected.
See, I think Hillary.
I guess she got elected, but we all know the story about that. But go ahead. I mean,
I don't think. And disclaimer: none of us have political science backgrounds. We're just two guys.
Yeah, we're not heroes either.
We're not heroes. We're just
your average Joes.
Just your average Joes. Yeah. The microphone. I think that if Michelle runs, she would be, at this point, unless there's some crazy dark horse that comes out of nowhere.
Other than her.
Well, other than her. But if there's another dark horse that comes out of I don't think there is any candidate that has announced their run for presidency in the Democratic Party that could even come close to Donald Trump. I don't. I think he is too entrenched. I think the economy is doing well. And again, it's really hard to upset a sitting president like that.
Who's he gonna? I mean, a lot of his guys are falling, dude. A lot of his guys are falling, man. He's lying about something, and we're gonna get him
any day now.
Everyone is getting locked up or quitting, and he's next. One, he has to run because if he doesn't, his ass is going to slammer for sure. But
I don't know.
I agree with about 65% of your message there.
Okay,
but I don't agree with the Trump thing automatically winning. It's not like a landslide. I don't think it's a landslide. I feel like
I don't think it will be either, but I think he will win.
It's his. You're right. It's his to lose.
Yes,
you're right. It's his to lose.
100%. It's his to lose.
But then again, he's so open-mouthed and so ready to just shift blame and shift all this stuff. Like, there's no one to blame this time around. So he could say the Obama administration did this. I'm gonna get us back on track. Okay, that worked the first time. This time, who are you blaming now? You were in power. And if something's not right, all you can say is our economy's well. Well, what about the other things you promised? He's so used to shifting blame, and now even though he asked all these people who are getting nailed for having loyalty to him, like who's else he's going to recruit? No one wants to go through this.
See, your money's on what's his name, Pete?
Pete, like it's a hard last name. I'm gonna butcher it, but Pete Buttigieg or something like that.
Perfect. That's
exactly who we're gonna put on the ballot there.
Hopefully you don't have to write him in, but your money's on that. I'm on team unless it's Michelle. It doesn't really matter.
Pete Buttigieg.
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 But I mean, again, I think it's Pete. I think Pete will win the primary because. Yeah. Again, it's his primary to lose right now. I mean, I think he did just say something like literally yesterday. We're like, oh, damn it. Like, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. If he doesn't shoot himself in the foot, he's got this. I think he said something about, like, prisoners shouldn't be allowed to vote. And I think at this early stage in your, candidacy, you don't say something that, whether you agree with it or not, it's just, everyone should agree like that. You should probably stay away from that subject right now until you get a following, like a real following.
I think I saw him on the news. He's coming up. Indiana's just happy to have.
I mean, Indiana, here we come, dude.
They're just like, here's a guy.
Sure is number one.
It's great. We're doing it.
Yeah, but yeah, my mind's on that guy. I think he's the next. He's the next.
I don't know.
White knight for us.
Luke, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the same handle at IndyChubs. INDY Chubs. Should be pretty easy. See, I'll be the guy in the picture that looks like this.
Right. Is that C8? Well, we also have podcast listeners that.
Right. Oh, that's well. That will
literally
see
looks
your
like
face. Oh yeah, yeah. You can go do that. Yeah.
Is that CHUBS or CHUBBS?
That is with two B's.
Two B's.
Thanks for clarifying.
Indy Chubs. You can find me right now at Alexander D. Hall on Twitter and also on Facebook. We're working on getting some of our social media stuff set up. We're just kind of diving in. We're really just, we're learning how to swim after we've already thrown ourselves overboard.
Yeah, just like
and
the old
without
days.
a life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the good old
It's
days.
like when they had like kid workers. Oh, you're 9? Here's some coal. Shovel it.
Happy birthday.
Shovel
kid.
it.
Here's a fucking camera.
Here's some black lung for you.
I think I got the black lung.
Suck it up.
And again, if you have emails that you'd like us to read, we'll be going over those. Not next episode, but the one after that.
Right. Shoot 'em
Feel
over.
free. Yeah.
Shoot them over.
It's contact@thedigitalfireside.com. That's contact@thedigitalfireside.com. One more time for our listeners.
Contact.
Contact
At the digital fireside.
at
.com.
Sunday.
Sunday. Super
Sunday. And we are working on we have an RSS feed set up for the podcast. You can find it on Castbox right now, castbox.fm. We are in the process of getting approved by iTunes. I understand they do take a few days to do that. So as soon as we get all that stuff up and running,
We'll let you know.
we'll let you guys
We'll
know.
let you know.
But for those of you who are listening in the future, when we already have all this stuff up and running, how's the future going? Is it pretty cool?
Are there flying cars already?
They probably will never be flying
We've been
cars.
predicting flying cars for a good amount of years, so hopefully we'll get them one day.
Well, that's going to do it. So for all 2 listeners left that have tuned out after our political conversation that we decided to have,
Listeners.
thank you for tuning in. And feel free to engage with us on social media. And we will see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Take care.